Hey viewers, my name's Kara. I'm your host for Tuesdays here on the Pagan Perspective, and this week we're talking about cursing, but also some other things wrapped up in this story. This week's topic comes from Tabitha, who wrote about a situation that they were having about a month before they sent this topic in. So this probably happened 2 months ago in real time. I'm just going to try to summarize it for you. The text, as always, will be in the description of this video. So Tabitha said they've been struggling with depression for a while, and about a month before they wrote into us, their ex had made them really angry. And so they decided to vent their anger by typing up a letter and just kind of getting all their emotions out into a letter, writing down all those angry feelings as though they were talking to the person who made them angry. Then they decided to talk with some of their friends about this, and their friends told them that they think typing out the letter sent a curse to their ex who had made them angry. And since Tabitha is an energy manipulation practitioner, they thought, oh, perhaps that's possible. I didn't mean to do that. So they deleted the letter and wrote over it, typed over it, kind of a dispelling of whatever may have happened, saying, I did not mean for any of this to really happen. I was just getting out my angry feelings. I wish no real harm to come to this person. Stuff like that. And then, because their ex apparently has what they refer to as black magic heritage, but they do not believe in magic nor practice it themselves, this person's friends now think that because of the ex's black magic heritage, some protection that they had on them must have rebounded the curse that their friends think they put on this person, and rebounded, so now their friends are cursed. And so they are asking, they think they didn't cast any kind of curse to begin with, so their question is, do we think it's possible that we can cast a curse on accident? If it did rebound, does it make any sense for it to hit their friends instead of them? And can witches break curses that they cast themselves? So they're asking a few specific questions about this. I wrote down some notes for myself about the 5/6 things that I think are really wrapped up in this that I could talk about. So the first thing, the most obvious thing, perhaps, the most general thing, is, can we curse on accident? And then, as a little side note to that, this is the 5/6, if we could, would it make sense for it to rebound on our friends and coven mates instead of on ourselves? And I'll get to the other points as they come up after I finish this one. So, beginning right here, can we curse on accident? I am someone who does not deal in curses in my practice. That doesn't mean that I don't believe that there are negative ramifications to magic. That doesn't mean that I don't think negative things can happen to people. But I do not personally deal in on purpose cursing folks for whatever reason. I'm not going to get into my personal ethics about the Wiccan Rede and what it says we can and cannot do and what we should do if it will cause harm. That's a different subject. But I'm not really a person who goes around thinking that curses are everywhere and everybody's cursed and everything you do can wind up in a curse. That's just not the way that I operate and the way that I see things as working. Knowing the fact that the universe does sometimes play around with us, and if we're not clear on certain things, stuff can happen that we didn't expect, I know that that kind of thing can happen. So, for example, when I've done a spell for something that I want before, but I'm not really specific, and the universe gives me something else that's not exactly what I wanted, but I can see how it's because I wasn't specific, it's not a curse per se, but it's like, oh, silly me, like, I made this happen because I wasn't specific. And it's about me. It's something that comes back to me. I did the spell, it comes to me. So, I don't automatically off the top of my head believe that if anything were to have happened that it makes any sense for it to rebound on your friends or coven mates. If they didn't have anything to do with the magic, then it shouldn't rebound on them. It should come back to the person who did it. As for whether I think we can even curse on accident, I'm not going to say it's not possible in the realm of all things that are possible, but within my practice, no, that's not a thing that would generally happen. Because, I mean, I know that people have talked about, you know, setting curses on people or hexing people or whatever to punish people, like really wanting to harm people for whatever reason, whether it was in self-defense or because that person did something wrong, whatever, who have done this kind of work who don't see any effect from it. Now, there are a million reasons why that could be, right? But because I know that there are times where people try their damnedest to curse people and it still doesn't do anything, because ultimately I believe that the universe knows best and will not really let anything happen that is too horrible. And if anything, it'll do something to us to tell us, like, don't be stupid, like, why are you doing that, you know? The universe definitely does that. But I don't think that the universe allows things to happen that really should not happen. Like, if that person really doesn't deserve it and we're just being vindictive, the universe is not going to let that person be harmed. It's going to make us feel and look like an idiot and do something stupid to us to teach us a lesson. But I just find it really hard to believe that if people who try really hard to do things don't always make it work, then I find it hard to believe that someone could curse on accident, especially in the way that this person is saying they did this thing. Because I did. This is my next point. Does typing an angry letter and not sending it curse someone? Typing or writing out your feelings of anger, of sadness, of betrayal, of whatever is a very common healing, coping, strategy, mechanism, exercise. This is a thing that counselors and therapists recommend that people do all the time. It's something that is healing for you. And especially because within the context of this story, it doesn't sound like this person ever sent the message. They didn't send the energy directly to the person. They didn't email them. They didn't message them on Facebook, whatever. It sounds like, from what they said, they just got out their computer, typed out all their angry feelings while they felt angry to help them vent, left it to the side, and then later went back, deleted it, and wrote over it when they were in a calmer state of mind. To me, that's not going to curse anyone, no matter who you are, whether you believe in curses or not. That's not what that practice was for. They were venting their feelings and emotions, which is a healthy practice. So if we think that typing out our angry feelings in a letter that we never even send, we're just doing it for our own healing of releasing those harmful emotions and not keeping them pent up in our body, if we think that that can curse someone, then we would also think that going to a support group and talking about all the problems that we have is somehow cursing us or other people. Or going to a women's gathering and talking about sexual trauma, or talking about just various experiences of things that we deal with in our everyday lives and venting our emotions and crying and screaming and doing that kind of transformative healing magic work, then we would also believe that that curses people. And it doesn't. That's not at all how I believe that works. This is a healing practice. Now, if they said I sent it to the person and then the person started experiencing negative things in their life, then I might be more like, all right, well, maybe something happened there energetically. You sent them some energy. But it doesn't sound like, one, they ever actually sent that message to the person it was intended for, that they were writing out their feelings toward. And two, they never mention anything actually happening to their ex. And this brings me to my next point. The only thing that is mentioned is that their friends think they cursed someone, and their friends now think that it rebounded on them. And so my question is, who are these friends? What do they believe? And why are you talking to them about everything? Like, you know, I don't know how close you are to these friends. They're friends, they're coven mates. Other people probably have very close friends. I don't have very close friends that I would be talking to about every little thing like that. And the people who I would be talking to about big issues like that are not people who are going to tell me, girl, you cursed them. What are you doing? They're the kind of people who are saying, that's good, that's healing, get it out. So this is really hard for me to address because obviously it's going to depend on who your friends are and your relationships with your friends. And this goes for anybody who's in a similar situation. But for me, so my third point that I wrote down is, should we tell people about our magic? And this is another thing we've talked about in the past where, you know, the idea of keeping silence And is it because we don't want people to know what's going on? Or is it because we don't want people to know what we're doing with our magic because they could possibly work against us? Or in this case, like you choose to do something really healing for yourself, and then you talk to your friends about this horrible experience, and then they tell you they think you cursed someone, so then you try to make it right by them by deleting it and doing whatever you think you need to do to undo something that you don't even think you did because your friends think you did it, and now they're saying, oh no, now it rebounded on us. Like, to me, it just seems like these people are making the situation much more difficult than it needed to be. Because again, if they weren't involved in the magic at all, it shouldn't be affecting them. And so this is why I think maybe them knowing about it is now making them paranoid, or, you know, if they have now added their energy to the fact that they believe you cursed someone, that's doing more harm than you ever venting your emotions in the first place, in my opinion. Like, that just seems like that's where the mess came in, is that this is all coming from the friends. This is not coming from the ex who made this person angry. This is not coming from the person. It doesn't even seem like the ex has any awareness, or, you know, nothing's going on with them. It's all the friends freaking out, and I don't know why, you know. The next thing that I have written down is having a magic heritage. Not even going to talk about black magic and what the heck people think that means, but just talking about having a magic heritage, and someone who doesn't believe in magic and doesn't practice magic could somehow have magical effects on them based on their heritage. Now, it'd be one thing to be like, oh, well, their mother is a practitioner and it's her child, so perhaps the mother has placed protection magic around all of her children, even if they don't believe. I could see that happening. But to think that someone is protected by magic purely because of their heritage somehow, because that gets into, like, magic being in your bloodline, and that's not something that I believe to be the case. I don't think that you're automatically a more powerful witch if your grandma was a witch than you are if no one in your family for various generations behind you had anything to do with magic, and you've been studying at it and working at it, and you have a natural talent for it, and whatever, you know. I don't think that having a heritage of magic, whatever that means, is anything to fret about, especially not in an instance like this. Now, I think it's really cool when people raise their children in a tradition of magic, for sure. And, like, I've talked about this in the past. Like, my mom had certain practices of magic that she passed on to me that made me more interested in those things, and then I became a practicing pagan. But my mother's not a pagan. She's a Christian spiritualist, does energy work, and works with crystals and all kinds of... So there's, you know, define a magic heritage for me. What does that mean? And what does that mean? Just what does that mean? I don't understand being afraid of something happening, or being afraid of something bouncing off of someone who doesn't believe in anything, doesn't believe in something, because their heritage believes in it. I don't even get that. And then the last point, can you break a curse you cast yourself? Okay. Let's assume for a moment that I believe in curses and that I believe that they can work. Let's say for a moment that I do that. Let us now discuss under the assumption that I am a witch who casts curses on people. If that were the case, in my manner of thinking, then my belief would be, unless that curse was done really poorly, essentially if I designed a really shoddy curse, then I would think anyone would be able to break it. But if I did my job and made sure that it worked the way that I wanted it to work and put in all blah, 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 then it would be my belief that I am the only person who can break a curse that I cast. If I were going to deal in that kind of stuff, that would be what I would do. And so I know that there are ideas where, like, you can't break a curse that you cast yourself even if you have second thoughts and blah, blah, blah. But to me, that's not about curses. So let's scratch the thing about curses and talk about magic for a second. We talk about you can't undo a spell in the middle of it. You can't cast a spell and then all of a sudden be like, wait, no, I take it back, because once you've sent that energy out into the universe, you just have to let it play out. So in that regard, I agree. And so I think whatever the magic is, whether it be beneficial or baneful, you just have to let it run its course. You can't undo it in the middle, no matter what. But, again, if we were talking about, like, you know, just a specific witch being prohibited magically from undoing their own magic, whereas some other person could undo it, that doesn't seem right to me. I would think that the person who has to undo it is the person who did it in the first place, because they're the ones who know what magic went into it to make it happen. Wow, there was a lot of stuff in here, right? You guys thought this was about cursing on accident, but this was about cursing on accident and breaking your own magic, regardless of what it is, and whether or not your friends have anything to do with what you're doing, and if we should tell people about our magic because maybe that freaks them out about it, or maybe they have an opinion about it that they're now going to share with you and tell you that you did something wrong when you know that you weren't really doing anything wrong. And what the heck does having a magic heritage mean? Please let me know your thoughts on any of these things, and I will say before anything else on that subject, I'm not talking about being a lineaged witch or being a family tradition witch and being raised in it. That doesn't seem like what this is about. And if you think that it refers to either one of those things, still, yeah, let me know how you think that would affect any of this. If there is a person, obviously it's not referring to a lineaged witch because this person is not a practitioner of magic. So they're either talking about bloodline, like through the family, or something else. Let me know what you think that means. And I will see you next month, because next week is Subs Week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for asking us all some questions like this, even though they're really complicated and difficult to answer when we don't know you. And I don't always like us to do topics like this that are very much like this specific set of circumstances happened in my life, and because it feels too much like we're picking apart someone's life and we don't know you and we don't know that person and we don't know their friend. So I prefer to just think of it in terms of like this, like, okay, curses. Can we curse on accident? What does a magic heritage mean? Should we tell people about our magic? Does typing up an angry letter mean you cursed someone? Like, that, I'd rather view it in those terms where it can be applicable across the board, because I don't want to feel like we're talking about any one person or group of people in particular, because I don't know these people. We don't know you. So take everything we say in that regard with a grain of salt, because you're always going to know yourself and your circumstances better than we do. We can give you our opinions on these basic things. I just gave you a whole lot of opinions, so I hope maybe it helps you think about things in a deeper way, but it's always up to you in the end. You are the one living your life, not me, not anyone else on this channel, not anyone else watching this channel. You have the power. You have the magical authority over your life and your practice. Please recognize that. Alright, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to be awesome, blessed be, and goodbye.